Hi, I'm going to be showing you around one of my highlights of the year, a vintage computer festival run in Canberra, which had a whole pile of computers from around the world and Australia. Best of all, it was all hands-on. So on this bread bin Commodore 64 disguised as a C64C, you can see us playing a 2016 remake of Donkey Kong, right next to a Commodore 128 and a Commodore 64 in the more classic bread bin case. So many different Commodore machines to feast your eyes upon, including a VIC-20 port of the classic Doom. Although as cool as that was, I did get a lot of joy from playing Breakout on this Commodore PET. Over on the British benches, we had Amstrad's first personal computer model. Sitting next to it was a portable version of the Amstrad, if you don't mind lugging a few kilos. Also a whole pile of Sinclairs, probably just about all of them, a ZX80, a ZX81. The North American version of the Sinclairs, the Timex, and a whole pile more Sinclair, a lot of ZX Spectrums, the ZX Spectrum Plus 2, which was made when Amstrad owned Sinclair. And if you don't want to go and buy yourself your own ZX Spectrum, you can get a ZX Omni, which is a modern day alternative that tends to go for a bit more of a reasonable price. And then you can go play games like Manic Miner, which was a lot easier on the joystick than us trying to figure out on this BBC Micro which key moved what where. And we also tried to play this game here on the Acorn Electron, a bit of a lower cost alternative back in the days to the BBC Micro. While the expo was very focused on the personal computers, we did have the very first home video console, the Magnavox Odyssey, there from 1972, alongside a few of its accessories. Loved seeing the Amigas with the Amiga 500 as well as an Amiga 1000 sitting right next to the Amiga 2000, playing The Secret of Monkey Island. Love that game, and it was being played off a Gotek drive replacement. This Amiga 1000 was showing off the mod that it got in the 90s, the Phoenix Enhanced motherboard, which was possibly the first crowd-funded computer project and from Australia. And speaking of mods and repairing, they were running a whole pile of soldering demonstrations. Atari 400, 800, 800XL, and playing Turrican, the Atari 4160 ST. And there was even the last computer model produced by Atari, the Falcon. How about those for some wireless controllers? Playing a bit of Space Invaders on an Atari 2600 with a SpectraVision, which essentially turns it into a computer by adding a keyboard. We had a bit of 1960s computer fun with this Teletype machine, which was running a program called ELIZA, an AI built in the mid-60s. A dot matrix was set up with a whole pile of paper, so you could go print yourself your own banner like it was 1982 on a TRS-80. If you wanted something more portable, there was the TRS-84P, which had quite a big screen compared to the first commercially successful portable computer, the Osborne one. And we're now in the PC zone with an IBM 5160 XT and a much newer 90s Pentium, the Compaq Presario playing Doom, and with a case that reminds me of, that. We got a Macintosh Classic, Color Classic in fact, and SE. The only Apple Newton with a built-in keyboard, the eMate 300, a Power CD sitting right next to a PowerBook, and hey, it's a video CD player with Blade Runner. A Mac LC3, which is something like what we used to use at school, alongside computers that I definitely used at school, the 2GS, 2E and 2C, with Oregon Trail on the 2E and LoadRunner on the 2C. Here's something that's not such a wild idea nowadays, combining a computer with a phone. Telecom Australia got what was essentially an overseas product based off the Sinclair QL. It had a speech synthesizer for answering telephone calls, a whole pile of business software, and a modem so you could access the Telecom Viatel service. Another Aussie business machine was the A-Mast Executive from 1983, which was a Z80, and it could also run off a 12-volt car battery. More from this part of the world, the Dick Smith System 80, as well as a whole pile of the Microbee computer, which was an Australian computer from 1982 to 1990. You could also get it as a kit version. It ran off a Z80 CPU, and I remember my friend bragging about how good Microbees and CP/M were. The Australian computer history went even further back into the mid-20th century, thanks to the Australian Computer Museum Society bringing along a whole pile of their computers and displays. Really, the whole exhibition wouldn't have been possible without all the different people locally and from interstate bringing along their computers. A big thanks out to Mr. Lech and the gang for putting this exhibition together. I'm pretty keen to go to the next one, and I hope you enjoyed checking out the computers with me as well, and thanks for watching.